I am sorry for the audience and for Lucy. I'm going to have to punish Lucy here. I think
What?
that it's going to be her.
For what?
Well, you got all the betting numbers wrong. The LSU receiver, Boot was his name?
Butte.
Boutte is his
Fine.
name.
Yeah.
You had him winning $400,000, and in 2022 he lost $65,000, and last year he lost $16,000. So the information was wrong. He didn't win $400,000 making 9,000 bets. He lost $200,000, or he lost $81,000,
According to who?
according to the affidavit.
Huh.
What is that?
What is that? Person, a thing? I mean,
It is. What is an?
Yeah.
It's a guy named Affidavit.
Ah.
Go sit on the therapy couch. Out.
That's fair.
Yes, you've got to get those numbers right, or closer to somewhat accurate than the way that you portrayed it.
I prefer a whole David.
So not half a David.
You get a whole Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm, which allows me to segue into what I wanted to talk about with Amin El-Hassan, who has arrived here. He is our basketball expert.
Also, a-hole David. His character.
He is dressed, thank you, Billy, for the clarification. He is dressed as Baby Billy, and the look suits him. You look dapper. Righteous Gemstones is a magnificent show. I'm surprised someone didn't make it sooner. Welcome to the show. It's nice to see you again. You could check out Amin El-Hassan on Oddball with Charlotte Wilder every day except for Monday on the DraftKings Network.
Let me put this timer on, because, time is money. You out here, you're talking, you're jibber-jabbing, you're wasting my time, boy. Get to the point.
Okay, you're going to be in character. Billy is not confident about this character.
We actually, right before he spoke, had a bet saying, is Amin going to pretend he's not Amin and he's just going to be in character the entire time?
Shut up, nerd. Go on, get out of here.
You have your answer.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Is somebody trying to talk while I'm working?
Mandel of The Athletic led me wrong. I have never been wrong in my life ever until today, and I hate this feeling. This is not great. This is not fun. I will never make a mistake again because
That's not that she will make many mistakes. We pride ourselves on our mistakes around here. I wanted to bring in Amin on some of the basketball stuff that we were talking about, though. Do you have any objections the way that Stugotz did to Jason Kidd saying that Luka is better than Dirk Nowitzki and in the class of LeBron and MJ?
Funnier the second time around.
I'm going to tell you like this, Danny.
Oh no.
Oh, jeez.
On this one program we got, Baby Billy's Oddball. It's a fine show. We have a segment called Who's Lying? Where I look deep into the soul of sinners and try to ascertain whether they're telling the truth or not. And I'll tell you right now, that Jason Kidd fella, he's a lion. Yeah. He's a lion. I'm with you, Stugotz.
It's not a terrible
I feel
baby.
really, really left out. And I'm having a hard time in Miami. People are not friendly here, and the girls on Bumble BFF are not very.
See, that's better as therapy than her saying. Now she's getting into the rhythms of it. You talk about your personal life a little bit.
What is Bumble BFF? Anyone wanna?
Everyone should want to be my friend, but no one wants to be my friend, and it's really hard. And you know what? I think I have to go back.
I mean, Doctor really.
This is a
cracked her
tough
open.
city to make friends in. I mean, have you noticed this? Please come out of character. I can't do this much longer with you.
Why not, Dan?
You lasted 4 minutes. I mean,
Is he going to stay in character?
Want
the
to play a
rest of-
game? We can play Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. Yeah?
Yeah, let's play that.
It's God's favorite game.
It's a good impersonation. He's got the rhythms of it down in a way that surprised me.
is that the same hair I had on yesterday? For
the
Larry Bird.
the Larry Bird hair, the Stu Bird.
I got a couple of cold beers in my pocket if you want one.
In Miami because, my parents probably should have been a little nicer to me, and then maybe I could have made friends easier, and I don't know. This is.
Wow, that took a dark turn.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing that I wanted to play for you guys from Curb Your Enthusiasm, because I saw this, I don't know how many of you, now keep in mind, Larry David is a genius, responsible for 25 years of unbelievable television, and I don't think that the people listening to this or just about anybody watching it understands just how much work goes into having to do those shows well. And he's tired. So he's on the red carpet last night, Stugotz. And when I saw the trailer for Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I say this as someone whose show is also aging, it was hard to watch the trailer because of how old they all look, just physically moving around. It's old people moving around, and it's slightly less funny than it used to be because their standard is impossibly high. They've been dictating what's funny on television and on HBO for 25 years before, for 12 years before HBO, and now the last 12 years. And this is him being curmudgeonly on the red carpet here. Listen to him.
Why is this the final season?
I don't
Come on.
know questions.
I got more. Why is this the final?
Because, it's time. It's, 12 seasons. That's a lot for a television show. Over 24 years.
24 years.
So, yeah, it was time.
But a lot of people don't believe you. A lot of people say you've said it before.
Yeah, I said it before, but I wasn't 76 when I said it. Yeah.
So you're going to go on tour. You're doing a comedy tour. Are you going to
It's not a tour. I'm not going on a tour.
Are you going fishing? What are you doing with your free time?
Or I'm doing 2 appearances. So what?
Oh, it's limited. That's limited.
What am I, on a bus now?
Yes.
Taking a bus? No, I'm not. It's not a tour.
Who's the guest star that you didn't get that you wanted so bad?
There's no such thing. Yeah.
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 Who's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I wouldn't say. I don't want to hurt the feelings of the other guest stars.
Favorite episode?
Favorite episode? I'd have to say probably Palestinian chicken. Yeah. Yeah.
Favorite saying? Pretty, pretty, pretty? Come on. Come on. It's so good.
Are we done?
No. No.
They're asking me to say it every time.
Yeah. Are we done?
No, I don't want to be done with you, Larry. I love the show so much.
Where's my HBO representative?
So good, man.
Yep, the show's not done, by the way.
You don't think it's done?
No.
I don't think you're watching it.
I've never watched it, to be honest
Well,
with
then
you.
what? So it's an opinion based on nothing?
No, we've discussed this being the final season of Curb for many years on this show. Every 2 years, it seems like they announce this is going to be the last year, and it's not. Dead & Company. I just went on their final tour. You know what they just announced? They're going to the Sphere in Las Vegas in May, okay? By the way, I'll be off. But so it's never over, okay? And Larry, David, and Curb will never be over. If it's not 2 years from now, 5 years from now, when he's 80, there'll be some sort of reunion. I promise you, Dan.
You've never been curious to watch? I mean, there was like times we would have guests or people on their show on regularly. Bob Einstein was on like weekly at one point in time. He was a celebrity prognosticator for years. Richard Lewis has been on a number of times. You've never been curious just to watch and see the show?
Nah.
Stugotz, I got no time to get distracted by your wordless comments. Get!
Wow, you kicked you out of the room.
Get, go!
That's
really?
it. Yes, you got to go to the penalty box.
Is
Outta
it
here.
weird that like I love
For
the
what?
show, but also like it's time?
Dan, you better tell this son of a bitch to walk the fuck out right now, or we done for the day.
I mean, I'm kind of with you, Billy, that it feels like it's run its course, but then you see the preview and he's still making good jokes. He's like, the mirror is how you see yourself. A photo is how you're seen. I was like, oh, man, they're always making me think.
The show
I'm going to put that in the ponder file, by the way.
remains very good, but it is hard to keep that particular standard for 12 years. These shows don't have those kinds
24, Dan.
of
That's a
runs.
fine.
Well, no, because it's 12
seasons.
It's Seinfeld
Oh, that.
before that.
Okay.
Why is Billy? Why are you finding me? Am I really going to have to do this show with you this way the entire time?
Why are you talking to Mike? Mike ain't even in here. You just said Mike.
I didn't say Mike.
He didn't say Mike.
He didn't.
Go sit with.
There
Stu-
will
go-
be
go-
a payday, a payday, what a payday.
Go sit with
There will be a
Stugotz.
I think you
payday,
need something to
hallelujah,
get.
what a
Go
day.
get. Go sit with Stugotz. You guys have aged out on Curb, right? You guys are too young for Curb.
No, that's not true.
Lucy and Tony have no interest in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Less interest in Seinfeld. Seinfeld. You guys
How
were.
dare
You guys
you,
were.
Dan.
You guys were babies when Seinfeld was on.
Dan, I've seen every single episode of Seinfeld. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. My lock screen is Tom's Restaurant.
What?
My lock screen is Tom's Restaurant, the restaurant that they all go to called Monks in the show. My lock screen is that restaurant. Billy, you can see it.
Super fascinating.
Well, I'm just
On
saying.
Ohio, where's your deli? I need something. It doesn't matter what the words
deli?
are.
So you didn't like the show, Lucy? I could see Lucy not liking it because, like, what happens with the show is you experience it two ways, right? You either watch and you're like, wow, Larry's, like, really an a-hole. Like, this guy is so mean and he's so rude to everyone. Or you watch it and you're like, he's making some good points. Like, I'm not a great person on the inside because a lot of stuff that he's saying I'm connecting with here.
I didn't dislike the show. I liked it and I thought it was funny, but when I started watching it, it was like 2 years ago, and I looked at how much of a commitment that would be, and I was like, I'm not willing to make that. Like, I can't do 15 plus seasons of any show.
Do you think that people listening to this have an idea of how hard it is to keep that show at the standard that show has been at when he is doing the majority of the writing and they're doing a lot of ad lib? Like, when I've heard them interviewed about the doing of that show, they enjoy it, but all of these great shows, the ones that change television, whether it's Seinfeld or The Wire or Breaking Bad, the investment, I mean, you see the care in the product, but I think Curb Your Enthusiasm fools you because it seems so loose. Seinfeld seems so loose that you would think it's not meticulously cared for when all of those people are putting in 60 and 80-hour weeks and being made crazy by the pressure. Like, there's an absence almost outside of the laughter of joy of having to be better next week because everyone's got this standard for what Larry David makes on television. And you got to do that for 20 years. No wonder he's tired and bitter on the red carpet. Like, get me off this red carpet. It's hard. What I do is hard.
He's been like that for 30 years.
That's
though.
true.
He was like that season 1 too, though. So it's
Season
not.
1 of Seinfeld in 1989, he was the same way.
Man, more dead shows for Stugotz.
All of May. All of May.
He just said, "I will be." They're going to be there in May. I'll be off without any.
He said
specifics.
he'd be off before he knew what month it was in.
He did not have enough working, functioning brain to fry as much of it as he has at these concerts. I'm concerned about him. I mean, I'm going to insist that Baby Billy gets for a little while, and I want some serious. I've been wanting to talk to you about some of the serious basketball stuff because there are a few decent, meaty issues that we were talking about that require your expertise because you're more informed than we are. So let's start with what the 65-game rule is doing to NBA awards, NBA rosters, where Halliburton or Embiid are trying to play enough games and then are getting hurt. The 65-game rule when it comes to you can make $41 million if you're Halliburton and you make the All-NBA team, this seems problematic.
They're murdering players, Dan.
Murdering players?
In cold blood. Right there in front of all millions of viewers to watch. Joel Embiid died last night for Billy Gill to feel better about NBA players playing.
Joel Embiid has missed 25% of the games this season. He's missed 11 out of 44.
He's hurt. That's the point. He's hurt, and because of this silly rule, he's playing hurt. Now, this rule was not necessary because you know how many MVPs have won playing less than 65 games? So like 2 in the history of the game. It wasn't a problem, these awards, because the voters, by and large, took that into account on their own. They said, well, this guy's really good, this guy's really good. This guy played 75 games, the other guy played 63. By and large, you might have 1 or 2 voters that go the other way, but for the most part, people recognize if you play, all right, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. So in essence, what this rule has done is it's forcing guys who are clearly hurt. Tyrese Halliburton was clearly hurt. He tried to come back versus Portland. He got hurt again and then sat out a bunch of other games. Last night, he plays a 25-minute restriction. Sits out the entire end of the game, the entire fourth quarter, and some of the third, to watch his team come back but not have enough. Why are we doing this? Why are we forcing hurt guys to play? If your thing is like, well, we don't want people to rest. Well, all right then. The voting takes that into account anyway. So it was a problem that didn't need fixing. And now what we're doing is basically killing these players.
But can Embiid say, hey, you know what? Being healthy for the playoffs is more important than winning another MVP, so I'm not going to play. Just not going to play.
He did that on Saturday.
And he got criticized.
Exactly.
Investigated.
Yeah.
By the way, which is hilarious because Thursday against Orlando, he got hurt. That left knee got hurt in that game. If you watch the game, you knew immediately. This isn't a ducking. This isn't a just resting the rest thing. This guy's hurt. And by the way, the poster child for load management is who? Who's the name that everyone brings up?
Is it Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, the term load management entered lexicon in 2018, 2019 when he was in Toronto, where he sat out something like 18 games, right? Do you remember Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs? Do you remember what he looked like? Remember him dragging his leg?
Yeah, he couldn't jump.
He couldn't jump. The guy didn't sit out because he didn't want to play basketball. The guy sat out because he was hurt and he was trying to make it last, and it literally took every last drop at the end of that series in the finals. So I just don't know if we're trying to curtail the people who are like resting for the hell of it. It doesn't matter. Those guys weren't going to factor in anyway. Having this rule just makes it so people who shouldn't be playing are going to drag themselves out there.
We were talking before you got here. I know it means something to you when basketball matters in New York. I know that you like the credibility that you have at MSG, that you have
what credibility?
A romance. Well, you like that you butt up against MSG powers that be, and that you are an authentic basketball voice in New York.
I love being from New York City. I love walking around New York City and having people just not even stop in passing, make basketball comments or some stuff about the show and just keep it moving.
Literal street credibility. On the street, people are talking to you.
Starts from the airport all the way in.
But this is the best Knicks team that we have seen in 25 years.
Easily.
Well, they set the bar pretty low. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah.
So the only other team that I think would be in conversation is the Carmelo, Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace, Jason Kidd. Remember they had just the Expendables and then Carmelo and Amari. That's the last one of note that we can bring up. And then from that, going back on in the past, you got to go all the way back to 2000, really, where Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell and all those guys. This is the best team since that.
Would you be willing to take the next leap that we were having conversationally before you got here, which is, and all that said, they cannot win the championship?
For the first time in quite a long time, I'm not prepared to go that far.
Wow. Because, Amin, I've been a Knicks fan my entire life, and I was telling Dan earlier that as happy as I am with the Knicks being good, they've won 8 straight, they've won 9 of 10, Randall is out, they've still played well.
You take that back!
I'd still be surprised. Just because of the Celtics and the Bucks, I'd be surprised if the Knicks made it to the NBA Finals.
I would say...
Think about this, Amin. Come on. You can take it back. We'll give you a chance.
And I'll tell you what I'm doing. Jalen Brunson is our best player.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think about him going up against Tatum and Giannis and their best players, and I'm like, how? How?
So this is what I'm going to say. First of all, you're doing the same thing that everyone seems to be doing, and I don't understand why, which is Jalen Brunson doesn't look like a 6'8" guy who has a 40-inch vertical and a sculpted Adonis, so he can't be our best player. You know who they said that about 8 years ago?
Who?
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Oh, your best player can't be that guy. I mean, he's good. He's a nice player. He can't be. He's not Russell Westbrook or James
You
Harden.
better slow down. I mean, you've lost
Steph
your
Curry.
mind.
I'm not saying
You're
he's
losing your credibility.
You've lost your mind.
Listen to me.
Look at him.
Listen
Look at him. You look like a fool.
Listen to me. I'm not saying he's Steph Curry. I'm saying the thing that people did with Steph Curry, and y'all can all plead ignorant and amnesia now.
Right.
But in 2014, 15, people were saying, that can't be your best player.
It sounds like you're saying that he's Steph Curry. That is.
I'm
It
not
sounds like
saying
you're
that.
running around the house with
I'm
a
not-
pickle in your
Well,
mouth.
leave the show references to me, please. What I'm saying is basketball, for whatever reason, has a really dumb heuristic of thinking because someone doesn't, quote-unquote, look the part, they can't actually be on this level.
I'm not saying he doesn't look the part. I'm saying their superstar is better than our superstar. That's all I'm saying.
Do you think Jason Tatum is
better?
Is better.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do you think Jason Tatum has shown in clutch situations and crunch time situations to be like unbelievably better?
He's had some moments. He's had some bad moments as well.
Right.
Yes.
That's my thing about Jalen Brunson is he doesn't look like Jason Tatum. And if you described him to me on paper, I'd take Jason Tatum. And even watching, I'd take Jason Tatum. But the gap between Jason Tatum and Jalen Brunson is not as massive as people want to say. Giannis, Jokic,
Steph.
Embiid,
Steph.
Steph, yes. But when you start getting to the Tatums of the world, who's better, but he ain't that much better. And most importantly, what Brunson is doing is within a system and within a complementary group, everybody's on the same page now. I said it for months.
You're all in on Brunson. You are all in.
I've been
You're all in. You're all in.
all in since last year. I said the Knicks have a civil war between the impulse players and the IQ players. Guess what? All the impulse guys are gone.
Well,
it's all IQ
Randall's
guys.
still there.
But Randall's
He's playing well, man.
He's playing well because
Yeah.
he's finally accepting, because you can have an impulse guy surrounded by IQ guys, and his IQ play will increase, and his impulse play will decrease because it's osmosis. Everyone's doing it. When you got half the locker room doing whatever the hell they want on the court, it's like, what? Why should I stop and think about what I'm about to do?
Better, Boston or New York?
Boston's better.
Philadelphia or New York? Milwaukee.
Hold on. Philadelphia, are we counting health? Because this is the other part of this.
That's
it's
important.
It's open in a way because Philly's not healthy.
Porzingis
right?
can get hurt.
Boston, not healthy.
Yeah, but Al
Milwaukee,
Horford-
healthy. But, hey, like, nobody's writing home about this right now on paper, but they don't play on paper, Dan. On paper, the Cavs were a better team than the Knicks last year. But the Knicks won because they executed and the Cavs didn't. And that's what it comes down to.
But then the Knicks lost to the Heat, and Jalen Brunson didn't have those moments where it was like, albeit he played excellently in that series against Miami. There wasn't a moment where it's like, oh, this is the Jalen Brunson coming out
But
party.
they have fixed complementary players
The
are
IQ
more
is
athletic.
there.
It's not just IQ though; it's also athleticism.
You can talk about it. They were plenty athletic when they lost to the Heat. They were plenty athletic, and the Heat aren't exactly a bunch of greyhounds, right? What they did is they got rid of all the guys that do not think the game. And they got guys like OG Anunoby and obviously Josh Hart from last year and Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo this year and Isaiah Hartenstein from like all these guys now, they're all IQ players. They're all guys that are thinking the game.
They are the best defensive team in the NBA. I mean, they are.
That's always what
They
Tibbs
lost.
is going to do.
Well,
But hold on,
I know, but that's
they lost one of the leading shot blocker and rebounders in the league for the year and got better defensively. There's a part. Look, hey, I love clowning on the Knicks. It's fun. It's funny. Their fans take everything personally, and they've been awful forever. Every team I clown on, I always say the same thing. No, I'm not breaking the mold here. I'm not calling like the Bucks a trash team or the Nuggets a trash team. I'm calling the Knicks. You guys have been terrible forever. They're not terrible anymore. We got to accept that.
I know, but there's a big difference between they're not terrible anymore and they can win the championship.
They can win the championship in this sense, Dan. Am I picking them to win the championship? Absolutely not.
Will they
Are
even be in your
favorites?
top six?
But Dan,
Will they be in your top six?
What I'm saying is look around the league. Who looks like they got all figured out? They're perfect. They don't need anything. Nobody. Two.
I mean, Boston and
Boston,
Minnesota, the Clippers. They all
The
look.
Nuggets.
They all look. The Nuggets.
Name three reserves for Boston.
Oh, come on.
Al
man.
Horford.
One.
I mean, I
Name
saw
two.
the.
He counts as three.
I saw the box score last night, and they got all of their points against Indiana from their starting.
That's my
five.
point. Like, so you can't say like Brad Stevens doesn't have his clogging shoes on, sitting up like I'm good. We got it. We ain't got to do nothing. He's not doing that. He's saying my team isn't deep enough. My team doesn't have enough size. My team doesn't have a guy off the bench, a reliable guy who's not 300 years old. They've got issues. The only team I could say, honestly say, look, as long as we're healthy, we're good, Denver Nuggets. Ain't no other team in the league that could say, we're good. Every other team is like,
T-Wolves?
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
The Clippers.
Clippers, definitely not. They're all looking. Everyone's looking.
How many teams are better than the Knicks? Name them.
How many teams better than the Knicks?
Name them.
The Nuggets?
Name
Boston,
them.
Denver, Oklahoma City, although I wouldn't say Oklahoma City can win the championship.
Miami.
You could say that you're going to say the Knicks can win the championship before Oklahoma City can win the championship?
That's right.
I agree.
And I'll explain after the break.
No, you won't.
So the Dan needs a break.
Lucy may be having her difficulties meeting people in Miami because Miami is unfriendly, but I saw genuine, intimate friendship between Lucy and Amin here in the building today when they were screaming at each other, the two of them arguing about how disrespectful it is or isn't to do a hand gesture upside down toward a team like the University of Miami or Texas. Mike Ryan is someone who gets unreasonably angry about the disrespect in that.
Well, about everything.
But Lucy, to see Lucy say that, not unlike Mike Ryan, Texas isn't built for what's about to come its way in the SEC when they can't handle BYU's taunting. That Texas is headed to the SEC and is getting unreasonably mad about people disrespecting their hand gestures.
The Mormons were too mean for them. The Mormons were too mean for Texas. So at a game between Texas and BYU, BYU students wore a bunch of shirts that just spelled horns down and then had to change after I believe it was like one of the first media timeouts because it was too disrespectful to have the horns down. And this is all happening after 2 weeks ago when Texas lost to UCF. Some UCF players had horns down, and their head coach, Rodney Terry, I believe, was like so pissed about how disrespectful it is. And it is one of the best things about college football and college sports in general.
Can we see that picture again? Because it looks like in the picture you can see the Texas guy who's like, hey, this is not nice. Look at the bottom left corner here.
Guys,
He's like,
not
offensive.
cool. Yes. Not cool, guys.
The guy in the left-hand corner, I am going to tell right now, and I'm going to get those shirts removed immediately. But Amin was furious at you this morning, Lucy, and it surprised me because, you...
Yes, I was furious at Lucy. That's clearly who I was.
This made you mad. I don't know why it made you so mad. It did make you mad. You were yelling at her and others in the room.
You flipped the table.
I did, and I stood up in Lucy's face, and I pointed, and my finger was touching like the bridge of her glasses, pushing it.
You
ever
were mad.
So dangerously.
Don't
Closer,
pretend
closer.
like you weren't mad, Tony. You were there with
You're
us.
saying curse word.
He
You were
was
cursing.
yelling at
It
everybody.
was a righteous anger, though, Dano.
He harumphed.
He was misbehaving.
We ain't ping pong. We ain't playing ping pong here. I was incensed, Dan Le Batard.
Passionate.
I was passionate, as I am passionate about several things. But I digress. I raised my hand in the meeting, and I said, can I ask a question? I said, is there some unknown sexual deviant, like, hidden meaning to doing the horns down or the U down or something like that? And they were like, well, no, it's just saying, hey, yeah, you guys suck. I'm like, so sports, the thing where people are like, beat LA. Oh, that's so disrespectful. Oh, they want to beat us. Oh, they said we're down. Grow the up. What are you doing?
Told you he was angry.
What are you doing?
Told you.
What are you doing?
But not at Lucy.
What, like, it's one thing.
This was all in Lucy's.
Look,
face.
So a couple of things. Number one, I want to transport everybody for about a moment, to the world of European sports, where literally they have fires and like fist fights and stuff. Right. And people saying suck your mother and things like that, of that nature, right?
Suck your mother.
They don't say
speak
that.
English well.
No one's ever said that.
They don't speak English well over there in Stugotz. Suck your mother. Nah.
Okay, all right. We don't need to be doing that.
Okay, right? So then you come over here and say, oh, they had shirts and it spelled out our nickname, but down, not up. Huh? And by the way, a grown man going to children and be like, guys, stop doing that. That's disrespectful.
There's the face of it right
How
there.
dare you? Oh, come on, man.
He's in the middle in that picture of saying stop. Stop.
You guys, real mature guys. That's what he's saying right there. Shut up.
My favorite part is the Mormons can't cuss, so they're yelling like, frick, Texas!
Shut the frick up.
Screw Texas!
Shut the frick up, man.
Texas. Wait until they get a load of Eric Musselman. I mean, seriously.
Nevada, the Wolfpack.
Frick, Texas.
They can't say the other F
Love
word.
a good frick.
Bruce Pearl.
Is that all you're gonna do, Stugotz? You're just gonna name old coaches.
He's naming the cool coaches, Dan,
I'm
not the
naming-
old coaches.
yes.
He's naming the cool coaches who wouldn't bitch and whine about what T-shirts the student section wore.
Do you not hear how angry you actually are?
Yes, and it's all directed to Lucy. To hell with you.
Well, she's the one who brought it up.
Oh, she did it. Oh, no. Oh, I'm melting. I'm melting.
Billy, congratulations! Your movement worked. You saved the zoo. You saved I salute you for your protest that you arrived late at. You managed to save the bat.
The bats are saved.
And eliminate the water park.
Yeah, well, that part, I was hoping that we could maybe have some sort of compromise where we could have a water park. I love a water park. Where we could have a water park and the bats, but. It wasn't. I didn't do it for me, Dan. I didn't do it for the thanks, for the praise. I appreciate it, but I did it for the bats.
Yes, you did.
No, I did
You
it for the
literally
bats.
took a picture and put it on social media like, look, guys, I'm here.
It's called raising awareness.
Yeah.
That's how these things work.
You did it after it finished. You're not raising awareness for anything.
That's
except
when
for
the
you
job
being
just
there.
starts. As soon as the protest and demonstration finishes, that's when the hard work starts. A lot of people that day went straight home with their signs and their chants and this and that. And then that's when the work starts. That's when you got to continue the movement. Not go and eat at Chili's or Fuddruckers.
You went to
or whatever.
Chili's.
I did not. That was
Dan
Ron.
said,
I
why were
did.
you at
That
Chili's
was
at 1
me.
o'clock?
That was me.
And
Right,
Ron
that was
McGill.
Dan.
Yeah, you're misremembering. I stayed with the good fight.
Tony, he's right. I love you, but he's right. Because when the cameras are off and, no one's paying attention anymore, that's when the real work starts. That's when
Thank
you
you.
find
He
out
went
who's
home.
who.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for the segue, Stugotz. When the cameras are off is when people need to pay attention to the real work. It brings me to the transition of Tom Brady was making the rounds yesterday saying why he's going to be good at broadcasting, why he's taking the $375 million in order to replace Greg Olsen. He's not sharing the booth with Greg Olsen, and he is saying that he is preparing for this part of his career to be great at it. He's preparing the way that he would for games, that he's taking it very seriously, that he's not going to be Joe Montana. Joe Montana was boring, really famous, became a broadcaster, lasted 9 games because he didn't know how to do it, and it is a skill.
I believe he's preparing very hard. I believe he has a chance at being very good at this. I just wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't, because every time he says that, he's setting the bar very, very high for himself, and Greg Olsen is very good, Dan. Dare I say great. And so if you're Brady, just lay low, say, hey, this is more tricky than I thought it was going to be, and then get in the booth. You set the bar low, and then you climb over that bar once you start doing it. I do think, because of his preparation, I think he might be willing to say things and give you a different perspective, that he has a chance of being great at this. He does have a chance.
If you're Brady, do you just undercut Olsen the whole time? Like Olsen makes a point and says, "Yeah, that's kind
Well,
of."
they're not going to be on together. They're not sharing the
No,
stage
but you start
anymore.
doing it now.
Yeah, you
on
just said
social media.
Yeah,
The
like,
wig is affecting your
that's
hearing. I
cute.
just said that.
We, Dan, we spoke to Mike Golick last week, I believe it was, and he told us something that we thought was very revelatory, but he's like, no, this is perfectly normal, where he's like, yeah, Tom, I was at a game and Tom Brady's people were there, they were doing the groundwork, he's already sending his people to the games to kind of start figuring the ins and outs. We're like, well, why isn't Tom going to do this? Why is Tom sending crews of people to start kind of figuring out how this works and get the wheels in motion? It seems kind of like you're doing the prep, but you have a team of people prepping you on the prep by just going and doing the prep
But he
for you.
can't go and just stand
you can.
over
You
Greg Olsen's
yes,
shoulder.
you can. Yeah, you can. You just go and you sit in the back like an intern while they're doing the thing, and you take notes. You ask questions. You say, "Hey, what's this all about? What's that? What does this button do? What does that do? How do I cough?" Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
What's wrong with having someone do your prep for you? Proud of him, Tommy.
Whatever happened to his stand-up career?
That's a good question.
Didn't he's like, all right, you know what? No broadcasting. I'm going to do stand-up. Yeah. It's like, you know what? I'm coming back to broadcasting.
What's going to happen to Greg Olsen, by the way? If you're CBS, do you go after Olsen? Replace Romo?
He's gonna do stand up now.
If I'm Olsen, I don't go. If I'm Olsen, I don't do the. I'm not the number 2 guy. I'll sit it out. I'll wait. Wow. What's up, CBS?
Yep.
What's up, NFL Network? I'm here.
NFL Network. Wow.
Just saying.
The Europe game?
Can we talk
For
about
enough quiche.
what Stugotz is saying? They're going to pay him in quiche.
Yep.
They should.
Stugotz is saying something, and I think it is actually worth exploring. The idea that Tom Brady is moving into a job that now suddenly, startlingly, has expectations because Greg Olsen, in the brief bridge to Brady, you took the year off so that you can get good at this, and he's making $37.5 million per year. Like, he's going to be doing other stuff, ambassador stuff, but he's going to be making essentially $2 million a game. He's working for 3 or 4 months. He's the highest paid broadcaster that exists. I don't think Barkley makes that kind of money. I don't think there's anyone who makes that kind of money, but he was supposed to be coming into a job that didn't have much in the way of expectations other than people who had soured some on Romo because he wasn't quite as good as he was at the beginning. Olsen is now viewed as universally consensus. That guy's excellent at what he does, and Olsen's not going to do the old man thing that Brady did, which is, everybody out here now is mediocre. Everyone doing this, like, they've run out some of the old people who do that in broadcasting to the product, Stugotz, that everyone out here is mediocre. My way is the best way. Basically, only Shaq's the one that's still allowed to do this, where he calls everybody. All his analysis is everyone who plays now doesn't do it as well as I do.
And Doggy.
I'm talking about among the former athletes, and I'm not talking about the broadcasters.
You're right. Yep.
I'm talking about the people on the games. Jeff Van Gundy, we're in agreement, are we not? I mean, that Jeff Van Gundy, at least part of the reason he's not a part of the product anymore, even though he was very good at what he did, is because he was bashing the product. Like, he wasn't celebrating the product. Sometimes it felt like he was having problem with things that the league would prefer he not give voice to.
I'm not letting Bristol off the hook for that one. Bristol got rid of him. Adam Silver did not get rid of him.
Okay.
Bristol made that decision.
Right.
Isn't that part of the reason, though? Wasn't that seen as part of the reason? I mean, Silver did put his voice on, I want people who are teaching the game more. I want a new influx of voices and analysis.
That was a Bristol decision.
All right. Why am I doing a press conference?
No, but they're partners.
One wording you here. What is that?
Like you're doing a press conference where I'm asking you questions and you're being
Read
evasive.
between the lines, Dano.
Let me try this way. The NBA and ESPN, they're partners. You don't think Adam Silver
No,
called
he's going to
someone
say
at
it again.
ESPN
He's going to
and
say
said,
it
I don't
again.
like what
It
Jeff
was,
is saying?
it was a Bristol. We're on to Cincinnati.
Bristol should have stayed strong. I mean,
I'm now interviewing a reluctant witness.
Yeah.
Baghdad Billy over here.
The decision to get rid of
You
Jeff
said
Van
this.
Gundy
You said this already. Yes.
remains solely in the hands of the people up in Bristol, Connecticut.